So on this channel, usually we look at sealed product to sort of see how sets are doing, but since recently there's been such a, mass amount of people talking about how this market is doing, mainly people saying that this market is going downhill, things are crashing. I thought we'd take a look at singles here today because, sealed product, it's not the best indication of what's really going on with the market because sealed product, we all know, is deflationary. Some of these sealed product for some of these sets have not been reprinted in a long time. For example, Scarlet and Violet based booster boxes have not been printed for a long time. Therefore, for the most part, it's not going to be as affected as other things that maybe have been printed more. There's more supply out there because there's just not as much. So I thought here today we'd look at the top card from each set, all the way from Scarlet and Violet base, all the way to Mega Evolution, to see, okay, if this market is really seeing such a major decline, we would see it with the singles because the singles are the most sensitive, to movements in the market. So if things were really going down, we should see things across the board go down. If that's really what's going on here, well, let's find out to see, is that really the case? Is everything going down here? If not, then are people just overreacting? Let's look to see how these singles have been doing for each of these sets. So first here, Scarlet and Violet base. So the top card in Scarlet and Violet base is Gardevoir EX. And as you can see here in the past month, what's happened? You can see a total, increase of 9.33%. So overall, it's still up, but yes, at one point it was $63, and now here today it's $60. So whoa, a $3 drop, guys. I think things are crashing, right? From a couple of weeks ago when people started talking about this crash, I think a $3 difference is a crash, right? But obviously I'm being sarcastic. But let's move on. Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. So Magikarp recently in the past month has gone up, pretty fast, all the way from $290 here, all the way now to about $400. Now, if you actually look here, you can see that prices really haven't done much since moving up. It's just been stagnant, and there really hasn't been much sales volume. But it is worth noting there are a lot here listed for low 300s. So you can see some here are listed, are sold for 340. So more people are listing. So this went all the way down. You could say from $400 to $320. So that is a pretty decent size decrease. That's maybe about 20. That's about a 20% decrease. So this has actually dropped a bit. The sales really have not shown up for any of these cheaper listings. These are all from a while ago. Not exactly sure why to be honest, but you can see things have actually dropped for this card. It's not actually showing on this graph, but I can tell you just based on this, it has dropped. So this graph should actually be going down all the way to around here. So it actually has dropped, but it is worth noting that it's dropped basically back to where it was before this run up. So that is something worth noting, but you can also say that, sales volume maybe hasn't been as consistent. But other than that, it's dropped basically back to where it was before this run up. So even Magikarp, even though it has dropped, it's just back to where it was previously. If it had dropped lower than this, maybe we could talk about something, but it has been going up for quite a while now. And for it to go back to where it was before this, sort of period of where things were getting bought out, I don't think that's indicative of a crash or anything. Now next here, Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames. Now this is one of the cards that has actually been going down. You can see this Charizard at one point in the beginning of the month, or I guess a month ago, was $125. Now it is selling for about $90. And you can see before that it did have a pretty big run up. So now it is starting to see a decline. But also still worth noting, okay, this at $90, it is basically the same price it was at maybe September. So from about like a month ago, now it's back to that price. So has actually seen a decline, but Charizard EX did run up for Obsidian Flames in a short period of time here. So would this have happened naturally without it? Possibly, but it has definitely, without this whole few weeks, in the past few weeks where people have been saying this decline, everything's going on, will this have happened naturally? Maybe, but it has dropped quite a bit more than other cards. Now next here, Groudon. The Groudon and Paradox Rift, you can see in the past month really has not done much at all. It pretty much went up here at the beginning of this month, and you can see now it's basically the exact same price. So still no signs of anything really going down too much here. Ghastly. So recently, this has become the most expensive card in Temporal Forces. This, yes, did get bought out, right? You can see here, obviously, like 56 cards selling $85. Like, yeah, it got bought out. And, before this, it was $60. Before this, I think the Raging Bolt was the most expensive. Now it's the Ghastly, Ghastly with the Gengar. This got bought out. And now it is the most expensive card. So it's kind of hard to say with this one, really what's going on here, because it just got bought out. But it's worth noting, it did get bought out. So when buyouts happen and stuff, could still be a sign that things are still pretty strong if there are buyouts for cards. And it's happened to Ghastly. So, people bought it out, and now it's the most expensive card. And now it is $86 from where it was previously at $60. So it has actually gone up recently, but because of a buyout. Now next here, Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. Greninja, you can see in the past month has actually gone up a little bit, about 4.5%. It's been consistently going up in the past few months. So Greninja just continues to go up. Next here, Squirtle from Stellar Crown. You can see, a month ago $75. Now it's $82. It did run up all the way up to around $90. Now it's around $83. Still, really not much of a drop from what it was like about a week ago. So it's still pretty strong from how it's grown from a month ago. Next here, Pikachu from Surging Sparks. You can actually see in the past month, it's actually gone up, and even the past few days, even more sales volume. And you can see, no really signs of decline here. Things have actually gone up for Surging Sparks for the Pikachu EX, known as the Booty Chew. Next, Lily's Clefairy from Journey Together. You can see in the past month, it's actually gone up all the way from $150 now to about $170. And in the past few weeks, it has been stagnating, but it really has not seen any major declines. Lily's Clefairy definitely isn't, the strongest card, out there pertaining to like SIRs and stuff. And I guess in just recent history, because we all know that, this card at one point was very expensive, and it saw a major, crash, like actual crash, right, after Journey Together came out. But as of recent, it hasn't even dropped that much. And like I said, this isn't the strongest card out there, but still, it's remaining pretty, stable. Even though recently we have seen, I guess apparently this huge decline in the market, but it hasn't really done anything. Next here, Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Team Rocket's Mewtwo in the past month has gone up all the way from $400 to now about $600. And you can see in the past few days, still been selling at this price point. So Team Rocket's Mewtwo, Destined Rivals, the product is going down in value, but the top chase card has actually continued to go up. So, just a sign that, the sealed product that we got, that's going from Pokemon Center has affected the, sealed booster box price, but the single, as for now, has continued to go up. So it's worth noting that still strength in the set, but just there's more product. If there's any more supply in any volume that's like somewhat decent size, it's gonna move the market downwards for that product. But the top chase card, is still going up. Charizard EX from 151. This one actually has been seeing a decline. It is worth noting, though, it did see a huge uprise in just a couple of weeks, all the way from end of August all the way to the beginning of mid-September. It reached a peak and then started to go down. And you could even maybe argue this has been going down a little bit, before this initial sort of talk about the market going down. It was already going down, but now it's at $275. But still, if you compare it, this is basically the same price it was about a month ago. So it running up this much, going back to where it was a month ago, it's still more cheaper or more expensive than it was 3 months ago. So still worth noting. Now we're going on to specialty sets. Earthen Vessel from Shrouded Fable. This is, yes, the top card. It's gone down 5%. Earthen Vessel has been going up and down, up and down. This is a item card. Who really cares? But really, even this card hasn't gone down that much, but not much. So I realized after recording this video that I forgot to put in the Umbreon EX, out of all cards, Prismatic Evolutions, how did I forget? But the Umbreon EX, what has it done in the past month? Well, it was all the way at $920. It was actually a little bit lower at one point at about $850, and it went all the way up to $1,200. Now you can see recently, it's crashing, right? But it looks like just a few people listed that was a little bit under market for about $1,000, and people bought them up. Now lowest listed is back to basically what it was previously at around this price. So the Umbreon EX from Prismatic Evolutions even isn't going down in price, even though people are claiming this market is going down. To say here. Okay, so Black Bolt and White Flare. So Victini, you can see for Black Bolt has actually gone up in the past month, and these are both the most expensive. It's the same card for both sets, but they're the most expensive. White Flare, the Victini, has actually been pretty much the exact same price. Went down like a tiny bit, and now it's pretty much the same price. So yeah. Now moving on to Mega Evolution, I wanted to show you guys this because if you look at the Lucario, it looks like it's gone down quite a bit, but it's just because it seems like maybe one or a few people listed for a cheap price. It went all the way up to $720. We can see recently it's gone down actually quite a bit, about what, $150. But you can see here, and you guys can maybe see if there's more sales at 506, but it looks like maybe somebody listed at this price point, like a quantity of them. It has brought prices down all the way to $578 from the market price. But if you actually get past these sales and what actually sold for 506, the lowest listed are all still $700. So what it was at 720, and they're still, the lowest listed 700. I mean, it didn't really drop at all, really. It's just because there's maybe one person listing here that sold, and you can see a huge increase in sales volume just this one day. 13 sold more than any time in the past month, probably because somebody dumped them on the market. So it really has not dropped. And you can even see, that was sort of an anomaly with prices dropping, because if you look at the Mega Gardevoir, it's pretty much the exact same price as it was a few weeks ago or when the set was released. So overall, you look at everything here. Are things crashing overall? No. Yes, have we seen some cards go down? The 151 Charizard, but it was already going down a little bit, before the recent, whole thing online where everything's crashing. What else was going down? The Charizard from Obsidian Flames. That's been going down, but it did see extreme run up, and it's still more expensive than it was a few months ago. So you look at everything in totality, you look at the top singles. If the market really was going down, you would see a major decline throughout all these top chase cards, because they're all pretty much at their all-time highs. But no, it's not happening. This is where you have to look at the data and not look at online and people's emotions. You look at the data, the facts. Yes, there are some things, some pockets where things are slowing down, or maybe things are seeing declines. But overall, which is the big thing here, things are not crashing. But yeah, things aren't skyrocketing either. It's stagnation. That's what's happening right now. So I just want to make this video to show you guys really what's going on in the market, how people are really overreacting. Look at the data, and it doesn't really back up what people are claiming that the market is crashing. So that's all I want to say in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.